EUROSPORT2, the new generation sports channel.
Welcome to this, the final Grand Prix of the Paintball Millennium Series in Paris. On this show, we'll be giving you the basic rules of a paintball competition. You meet the captain of the Budapest Bullets, Oliver Lang, who will share some of his secrets, as well as Bobby Shino, who will tell you all there is to know about how Drax's paintballs are made. For this show, we travel to Mont-le-Valais, just a few kilometers north of Paris, on the grounds of Euro Disney for the last leg of the European Championships, better known as the Millennium Series. Let's hear from the event organizer, Laurent Hamet.
Paris, the last event of the year, also it looks very good because we have the best of the best playing, we have all the vendors here, we have the fantastic weather. The level of playing have increased a lot, so it's getting better, the skill have increased also, so it's more and more exciting. It's a little bit crazy because we don't have a lot of time to set up a city like that. I say city because yes, it's 40,000 meters square and we have a fantastic team. We have people who are doing the same job now for 6 or 7 years, so Disney have all the accommodation that you need. You have all airport connection between, you have shuttle, bus shuttle, you have train. It's very convenient. You have all the hotel. We are facing Disney Village, which you are on the main street. You have any kind of restaurant for any kind of budget. We'll continue Saturday the qualification, Sunday the quarterfinal, semifinal. So we'll see back Sunday evening for the final and the winning team.
After the Nürburgring event, here are the general standings. The CPL bracket, the highest division, is led by Joy Stockholm with 332 points, followed in second by Budapest Bullets with 328, very tight at the top. Moscow Phoenix in third on 248, all of them here, all of them fighting it out. As we await the qualification games, here are a few shots from the highest ranked teams, plus the possible European champions and last series winners, Joy Stockholm. Well, this contest is over 40,000 square meters of the Disneyland Paris parking lot, divided into 3 parts that the event takes place. There are 6 Millennium paintball fields, 8,000 square meters dedicated to a trade show, and a tech zone where you can get everything you need fixed. Here's the field layout used for this event in Paris, the Millennium Series Grand Prix. Each have a specific layout, specific to themselves, sent to all the teams about 1 month before the event so they can practice.
The rules of the game are really simple. It's two teams with 5 players on the field, with 1 coach out of the field to give information during the games. And you have 15 minutes to take 5 points. After every point, to take 1 point, the player push the buzzer, the opponent buzzer, of course. And you have 2 minutes breaks to refill the bottle, refill the pots with the paint. The first team with 5 points win the games. One player receives 1 hit, direct hit. If you have paint, of course, it's allowed just to tell out, hand on head, and go by the fast way out of the field. Stop the play immediately. In case of cheating action, if the player continues to playing on with 1 hit, it is out, and 1 player of the same team are out. It's a penalty. If 1 player with 1 hit make 1 decisive action during the game, it's 2 for 1. It's a player with a hit plus 2 players of the same team. And the worst penalty is the 3 for 1, for wiping. If 1 player have 1 hit, clean wipe the hit, It's one player, the player with the hit out, plus 3 players of the same team. That's easy. One player out, we make this. And on head and out. To put one penalty, 1 for 1, 2 for 1, or 3 for 1. For each player out, we say out, and this move, 1 for 1. If it's a 1 for 1, 1 time, 1 player, 2 for 1, 2 time, 2 player, 3 for 1, of course, 3 time, 3 player. After, to check 1 player, but you need to expose this player at the opponent shoot. We touch the player and we say neutral player. If 1 player asks for a check, to say if clean, we say clean player. And the last signal is just for the ref. It's this, to announce the last 60 seconds. Because during the last 60 seconds of a game, if 1 player receives 1 hit, it's automatically point for the opponent.
Last-minute preparations before qualifications begin. Well, during qualifications, each team will meet a total of 3 opposing teams. Each game is won in 5 points or leading after a 15-minute time limit. The teams change sides after 3 points. Adding the total points of these 3 games ranks the teams that will qualify for the quarterfinals. The first game sees the Copenhagen Ducks against the London Shocks. The Ducks win the game 5-2 in 14 minutes. The last paint made just 51 seconds before the time limit. And then a game between London Nexus and Moscow Cast. In this game, the British obliterated the Muscovites 5-1 in less than 7 minutes. The Americans are next, facing the dangerous Swedes. We can see Mr. Trossen coaching the Dogs during the game, a unique aspect of the European Millennium Series, where each team can have up to 3 coaches off of the actual playing field to advise their movements. Well, the Dogs take the game 5-1, a crushing defeat similar to the one experienced by Nexus in the previous match. Now let's turn to the Bullets, the second best ranked team about to face the French. They are in 15th position, the French. The game lasts just 5 minutes, seeing the defeat of Montpellier 5-0, and with it their chance of making the quarters. Now Joy Stockholm versus Consilium de Zurich. The Joy, first in the general ranking, are up against Consilium from Zurich. The game lasts 2 minutes more than the last game. It takes just 7 minutes for Joy to beat the Swiss team 5-0. Of course, Joy are the 2007 European champions. And closing the day are the Dogs, taking down the Ducks 5-1. Both teams make it through to the quarterfinals. The Bullets take down Nexus 5-2. Oliver Lang, the Bullets captain, shows us how playing aggressively and sticking to a cohesive strategy pays off, something that Nexus could well have done without. The British and the Bullets are nonetheless both qualified to play in the quarters. Now on to Joy Stockholm versus Marseille Icon, the last qualification game of the day. This is definitely the high-profile game. After just 2.5 minutes into the game, the French team scores, and then the Joy bring it back to 1-1. But Icon score again, then Joy pull it back to 3-2 to take the French team out of the quarters. They needed to win with a maximum of 5-2 to qualify through the game. And with the support of their strong fan base, they decided to give it their all and lead Joy 4-3 at the 14-minute mark. Then just 8 seconds from the end of the game, Marseille Icon managed to take the final point, being the European Championships. The European champions 5-3. Though they didn't qualify, the French team can be incredibly proud. So the qualified teams are the Philly Dogs, Zurich, the Moscow Phoenix, London, Budapest, Oslo, Stockholm, and Copenhagen.
Wind down the year with a depression-busting program.
Welcome back to Paris and the Paintball Millennium Series.
The team that I play with here is the Budapest Bullets. They're obviously from Hungary. I'm American. I've been playing with them for about 4 or 5 years now, and we've come up through the ranks. We played divisional 7-man when they had 7-man. Played SPL last year, we won the series, and now we're in the CPL. I've been playing paintball for about 12 years now. So since I was 14, I'm 26 now. It's addicting. You go and you do it for the first time, you get caught on it, you want to keep doing it. There's no way to really explain it. It's the most addictive sport out there, and everybody that plays can tell you, and you can understand it, but you have to play to understand it. And we practice every weekend. We practice long and hard. We fly many hours to come over here and compete. In America, we played 2 different series plus this one, another series of 5 events. We play about I play a total of 15 events a year. The way that I play, the way that I think it's, most sports should be played is 100% being aggressive. Aggression to get to those 50-yard line spots, to take as much ground away from them, make them to react to you, not you react to them. Drill-wise, the best drill you can really do is just understand the game, and that's by playing the game over and over again. My favorite drill to do personally, which helps me in my speed and helps me in just, outsmarting the other players, is just simply one-on-one drills. You can go out and you can shoot boxes and shoot targets and get the mechanics down of it, but that's not fun. You have to do that, but it's not my favorite drill. You have to do that to be a competitive at this level. But I like playing one-on-ones.
The first of the quarterfinals is between the Philly Dogs and Concilium D Zurich. Well, you can bet the Americans won't make a single mistake. Unsurprisingly, the Swiss keep the same strategy and collapse against the overpowering technical advantage of the Dogs, who score their first point 40 seconds into the game. The whole game finishes just 5 minutes later, when the Swiss are beaten 5-0, cutting short any hope they had of a podium. Now the turn of the Londoners, London Nexus and the Moscovites, Moscow Phoenix, to face each other. We can see that the playing level has gone up a notch compared to the qualifying rounds. Here the teams show their real game and unveil their strategies. Nexus doesn't think twice about pushing in the Doritos and the Snake and managed to take the M, giving them full domination of the field. To counter this attack, the Russians sacrifice a player to open up the game to their favor, and it pays off since they managed to win the game. Nexus plays a very fast and calculated game to their betterment, since they eventually take the game 5-3, and that puts them in the semi-finals. The Budapest Bullets face off against the Oslo Menace, the second-ranked team against the 14th. Oslo were a real surprise from qualifying rounds, and they're not about to leave it at that. They've sharpened their teeth. But it won't be easy. In the first 3 minutes of the game, the Bullets dominate the game 4-0. To counter the Bullets' offensive, managed change strategy and put all they have against Oliver Lang and his team. It starts to pay off. After the 4th minute, Lang won't set a foot on the opposing side, and Menace score their first point. Oslo has a timeout on their side, and their strategy eventually works, drawing level 3 minutes later. In the final part, Oslo takes out all the players of the Bullets. Oliver Lang is the last man standing, and his opponents jump in the Snake and the Doritos to surround him. The strategy pays off, ensuring their place in the semi-finals and stopping short the Bullets' hope of becoming European champions. The Bullets' defeat is more than reassuring for Joy, which becomes the 2008 European champions by default. It's the last game of the quarters, and the Ducks score the first points, leading Joy 2-0 after 3 minutes of game time. Joy is playing less aggressively than usual, probably due to the fact that they have already taken the series title. But it doesn't take long for them to fire back, and they manage to draw the game in the 5th minute of game time, finally beating the Ducks 5-3. Joy definitely won't be missing the semi-finals. So let's take an overview of the standings. In the semis are the Philly Dogs, London Nexus, Oslo Menace, and Joy Stockholm. First match of the semis sees the Americans, Philly Dogs, face off against the real surprise of the event, Oslo Menace. After just 30 seconds of game time, the Dogs score their first point. The team's strategies are more and more focused, with a very structured and accurate American team, both in their shots and their moves. They're fast at getting to the key bunkers of the game, the Doritos, the M, and the Snake. But the Menace haven't come this far to let them be scared. They've absolutely nothing to lose, everything to win. Let's not forget they are 14th in the general ranking, and that absolutely no one expects them to get into the finals. Well, 5 minutes into the game, the Dogs are leading 3-0. The Norwegians have a brief moment to take advantage of their numerical advantage. More players, and score a point in the 6th minute. This will unfortunately prove to be the only point in their favor. As it moves on, they collapse under the overpowering might of the Dogs. They show that going through the Dorito side can also be a winning strategy, taking the game 5-1 against Menace in 8 minutes and 30 seconds. The Dogs therefore secure one of the first 2 places on the podium. In the other semi, and Joy and Nexus face off. Nexus, winners of the Toulouse event, has high hopes of doing it all over again in Paris. But it's a different game in the first 3 minutes, seeing them make a series of mistakes, including one for one. A 1-for-1 meaning 2 less players on the field, the one who got hit and another player of his team. Nonetheless, Nexus scores during the 4th point game, and it's time for Joy to start collecting 1-for-1s. Nexus, not risking anything and aiming for first place, stays back at the 50s, asking for martial checks when in doubt and mainly observing Joy's strategy. It pays off, since they managed to put the game back at 3-3. But this last point won't count and is replayed due to a marshalling issue regarding 2 players facing each other in the Snake. It's won back by Nexus. Joy asks for a 1-minute timeout to review their strategy with their coach. Nexus, more motivated than ever to win this game, don't think twice about going to get Joy on their side of the field, forcing them to move and be exposed to their firing lanes. Nexus takes back the advantage, but Joy draws 4-4 in the 4th minute of game time. Only 12 minutes into the game that the final point is won by London Nexus, with an end score of 5-4 in favor of the Londoners. While Nexus is enjoying it, the European champions Joy Stockholm, it's time to go into the losers final. Welcome back to the final event in the Millennium Series of Paintball here in Paris. And before we have the 3rd, 4th playoff, let's meet equipment maker Bobby Shino.
Well, basically, we make them in Montreal. Our head office is in Montreal, where I work is in Montreal, and how it's made is basically, it goes into, you have a couple of formulas that come into the ball, and at that point it's formulated. We can't tell you exactly what's going inside, of course, but it depends on the amount of time it's turned to how it makes the ball very, very nice and very brittle. And at a tournament like this, where there's 150, 160 teams, half those teams are shooting our paint because it breaks when it hits the player, because of the way we formulate the ball. it's not the team level, it'll be for what type of game you're playing. If you're playing a speedball game like we're at this weekend here at the Millennium, they want a very brittle ball that'll break and it'll show very easy. So it'll be a nice orange fill. Whereas if you're playing in the woods, we'll make a ball that's a little harder so that it can go through woods, it can go through the leaves, not break on the leaves, but break on the player. We can formulate a ball exactly to this specification. The process from coming into a ball, formulating it to see how brittle we're gonna make it or how hard we're gonna make it, putting it into a box, the amount of time that takes is about between 14 to 18 hours, depending on the quality of the ball we're trying to make. If we're trying to make a very hard ball, it'll take, let's say, a shorter time, whereas to make a ball for the tournament here, which is very expensive to make, takes a lot longer.
So we move on to the third-fourth playoff between Joy Stockholm and Oslo Menace before the final between London Nexus and Philly Dogs. This is an unexpected losers final because Joy are now the 2008 European champions and they take on Oslo Menace, a team ranked 14th in the overall rankings. To make the story even more surprising, it's actually Menace that took out the bullets this morning, and therefore, because of them, Joy are now 2008 European champions. Oslo has had a difficult year, and its current place in the final ensures that they keep their spot in the CPL next year. No one really knows what to expect in this game because we have a team like Menace that showed us that they would pull out all the stops to achieve victory against a Joy team that might rest on its laurels, having already won the series title. Though it's Joy that scores the first point, Menace plays a defensive and calculated game, staying back, observing their opponents. The Menace led Joy 2-1 5 minutes into the game. It's the change of sides that will give back the advantage to Joy, who regain their aggressive strategy and focused offense. At the break, they managed to get the key bunkers, the Snake and the M, at lightning speed, ending Menace's dream of third place 5-2. It's therefore Joy that will take the third place for the Paris Millennium Series and the first place in the overall season rankings, keeping their European Championship title for one more year. Now to the last game of the European Championship of the Millennium Series, and it's a final between London Nexus and Philly Dogs. From the start of the game, this has the feeling of a final. Both play at a very high level. These are two powerhouse teams. Nexus immediately take the M and the Snake, and also their first point in less than 1 minute of the game. Soon followed by a second point. And though the title for European champion is already cold, the two teams aren't ready to give up on first place and the cash. But Nexus is really dominating Philly with an overpowering strategy. They send their attacks to the Doritos while the Dogs continue to try for the Snake. But this Snake is well guarded by Nexus, sweet spotting, and that means severe losses for the Phillies. Nexus really shows us that you don't need to take out all the players to win the game. They score their third point with a Dogs player still alive. The change of sides will benefit Phillies, who score their first point by getting into the Snake and taking out the Nexus player at the M. But Nexus is still winning 3-1, and they are still pushing in the Doritos and the Snake, taking out all the Philly players who still manage a good defense. This final and the show-off between them has been very captivating, worthy of a final. Nexus scores the final 2 points and takes this Paris event.
Well, we played Phillies in Toulouse in the finals, and we beat them 5-1. 5-2 in the final. And we trained against them Thursday, just gone. So the team always feels confident playing against the Phillies. I think we could end up just being their bogey team. I think Nexus played the field very well. A lot of teams watch how we were playing the field, and I think everyone struggled playing against us. So I think when we come to playing the Phillies and Philly Americans, they weren't sure how to break us down. So you could say it was a psychological game before we've even walked on the field. Well, next we're off to the World Cup on Friday. So we're going to go bash heads with the Americans, and then next year we're going to try for the series. This was a new team at the beginning of the year. We had a lot of players, we had a lot of errors. We cancelled them out. We've now proven to everyone we've won 2 events, the only CPL team this year to win more than 1 event. So next year's looking good.
Onto the podium, and London Nexus are on top at this Paris Grand Prix. Well, in 3rd place, Joy Stockholm. 2nd place goes to the Philly Dogs. 1st place, London Nexus. General standings, Joy Stockholm on top. They're the European champions again. Budapest Bullets 2nd and the Philly Dogs 3rd. Well, here are the upcoming events for 2009, starting with the US final in Orlando. Until then, that's it from me, Colin Bryce. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.